The fatherly voice of Radio Nigeria, increasingly remote from reality, is ignored by very many Igbos as they trudge the roads of the vanished country of Biafra. They have not stayed where they were. They felt no certainty that relief was coming to them. They feel little certainty about anything except that somehow they've got to survive and start again, and that there are not too many people to help them. For 10 days since Biafra's surrender, the world has heard little but official reassurances about what was going on here. This week, the world press was let in, and things begin to look less reassuring and certainly less official. Food shortages, some starving people, food supplies not moving. No one yet knows the scale of all this, or how many frightened people have not yet emerged from the bush or are physically unable to do so. Only one thing is clear. No one yet knows enough to be reassuring. For a week, the frustrated world's press and television, cooped up in Lagos, had their only link with the former Biafran territories through the United Nations International Observer Team, consisting of military officers from Canada, Poland, Sweden and Britain. The UN team had, of course, cooperated closely with the Nigerian federal government.
To meet the interest of the world as to the findings of the observer team, we have decided to issue a short report.
The chairman of the UN team, a Swedish major, was on the whole encouraging. Things, he said, weren't nearly so bad as some people coming out of former Biafra had suggested. But people were not encouraged. They were uneasy.
The main justification for the observers remaining here over the last months, since you originally ruled out the genocide accusations, has been that you should be here at the finish for the last battle when the federal troops moved in. Can you tell me why have you returned after only a couple of days in the war zone? Shouldn't you still be out there?
It was necessary for the team, who had already visited as far as Owerri, to come back for urgent consultations before going out again.
What worried many people was the fear of genocide or systematic destruction of the Igbos, which many had suggested might follow a Biafran surrender.
We have issued many, many reports, all of which have been unanimous that there was no evidence to suggest genocide, and with very minor items which we criticized, the conduct of the federal troops was in accordance with their code of conduct, which is in the possession of most soldiers.
One journalist referred to a passage in the report in which the condition of some refugees was described as acceptable. But how acceptable was acceptable?
What that condition was and what you mean by the word acceptable.
Well, in any war, people get hurt. We must understand this is a war being going on. And we saw, as we have said in our report, some children who seemed to have malnutrition, but it was no extreme malnutrition. We are no doctors, so we cannot describe it exactly, but there were some of them having, this big bellies, and we saw some with the match, how do you call it, match legs, thin legs. But they were walking, so they weren't so bad off.
Sir, immediately before the surrender, reports from people coming out of the area, working in relief agencies and others, were that unless help in the form of food was got to the people living in the area within, sometimes they said 24, 48 hours, hundreds of thousands of people would die. You're the only people who have been allowed into this area, as the world press has been excluded. Can you please tell us whether, in your opinion, this is so?
Well, from what we have seen, we cannot confirm that.
Well, can you then confirm to what extent you think it is a critical food situation in the area?
Well, we really don't think so much. We are telling you what we have seen.
Well, does this then mean that you haven't been able to see whether or not it is a critical food situation in the area?
Could I answer that for a bit? Yeah. There is a lot of food in the area.
Yes, but is it getting around?
Are people staying where the food is? The answer is some of them are not. Those that are stupid enough to go away from the food are going to get hungry. Sooner or later, the federal government will be able to give them something.
The federal government itself, which has everything to gain by reconciling the Igbos once more with the Nigerian Federation, gave its own version of events through the Minister of Information, Chief Enahere. His conference took place in the Nigerian Parliament House, whose benches have been empty of normal elected democratic representatives ever since a military coup in Nigeria 4 years ago.
I find it quite low myself. What are one of those? That is lower than this?
The position is that the mass movement of population has stopped. The commanders tell us that movement is now back to normal. There is no fighting going on. Contact has not yet been made with a few units which are not of any sizable numbers. Those who went into hiding and so on. But the majority of the rebel forces have laid down their arms and have surrendered.
But of course what everyone wanted to know was the state of food relief in the former Biafran area.
When he saw the need, to two French doctors who were there.
Sir,
proper arrangements would, I imagine, be made for somebody to take over from them.
Sir, has the federal government any idea of what proportion of the population is still in the bush in the area?
Well, we can't have had a census in the 2 days since...
Well, then how can you say that the food population is under control?
Pardon?
How can you say that the food situation is under control?
Well, it certainly is. We're in all the major towns. We're in all the main towns. The people have come back to these towns, and there the food situation is under control. So if there are one or two, odd villages where there is a problem, I don't think you could, because of that, say that the situation wasn't under control.
Lagos was hardly affected by the war. Prices went up, but there was no shortage of food, only of some imported goods. Many in Lagos see the problem of uniting Nigeria again as easy because they want it to be easy.
Can you accept that the Igbos will be your brothers after this war?
Of course, really. We like them. They are still Nigerians. We want them. That's why we are fighting for unity.
Do you think they will like you so much, though, after all this?
I can't say, but we know that we like them.
But do you feel it will be easy to integrate them in Nigeria now?
Well, they are already Nigerians.
What?
They are already Nigerians. We never dispute them.
Well, they disputed it, though, didn't they?
No, they didn't dispute.
Well,
they were misled.
Well, they set up a country of their own, called it Biafra.
They were misled, not that they...
Oh, they were misled.
They were misled, and they've now seen the light.
Do you feel that the Igbos in what was Biafra have now seen the light?
Well, I can't say.
Do you think they will now be part of Nigeria?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Why don't you think so?
Well, according to what is happening in the Nigeria, that's why I say I don't think.
You don't think that the Igbos will find it easy to be part of one Nigeria?
I don't think, Master.
No trouble. Excuse me. Hold on, I'm a
policeman.
Can we know you?
I want to know you.
Yes.
I'm a policeman.
I'll show you my accreditation card, yes. You're a policeman, are you?
Tony!
Okay. I'd like to know how you feel about the end of the war.
Yeah, exactly. As for me, I feel very happy. Although...
Why?
I feel very happy. You know, as a young boy, I would not like to see war in my country. Now, I'm very happy because the war is ending. And I know that the people in the East, because Ojukwu tell lies, told them lies in order to go away. Now, they will soon come back to join us. And we are going to unite together, work together in order to build our country.
And you think they are going to find this easy to do, too?
It's very easy. Very easy.
You think that they only formed Biafra because they heard a lot of lies, do you?
It's a lie.
Yeah.
It's a pure one.
It's a pure lie. And I'm happy to hear the result of the war now. Because I'm happy to, I'm so sorry because I want them to catch that Ojukwu. But I don't know where he is now. And we still need, I want to see him personally. I want to talk to him.
What would you like to say to that, Ojukwu?
I want to see him, just to come and see the result of his work. That's why I want to see him.
What do you think should be done with him if he were caught now?
But it's my enemy, I know already, it's my enemy, but I don't want to kill him. I want him to see with his naked eyes the result of his work.
It is the crook among them.
The crook?
The crooks.
The crooks?
Yes, among the Igbos.
Like Ojukwu, do you mean?
Like Ojukwu and Ikejiani. If Ojukwu is caught as a living human being, he himself knows what is right to be done. He should commit suicide.
He should what?
He should commit suicide.
You have been an Igbo living here in Lagos for how long?
About 6 years or 10 years now.
And has it been unpleasant for you at all during the war?
In fact, I've not been no inconvenience so far. I've not been inconvenienced by anybody.
And do you think that your fellow Igbos who were in Biafra will now find it easy to become part of one Nigeria?
It's going to take a long time.
From my own considered opinion, I think really it's not going to be easy for the Igbos to unite with the rest of Nigerians. When we remember the losses in lives, losses in goods, and as a matter of fact, destructions.
If the idea of an independent Igbo state can collapse so totally, perhaps there was nothing much to it after all. Ben Nwanu is an Igbo working for the federal government. What, if anything, was the concept of Biafra?
Well, it was a concept in as far as Ojukwu himself had an idea. But to us, to me, it was a myth. Well, I used to have a radio in my Chevrolet car, a very super car, which I left behind there. I used to tune, and I used to see the entire geography, the beautiful sceneries. As I drove from Onitsha to Port Harcourt, I could see the deluge coming. I felt it and I saw it. And in fact, I said so. And I told Ojukwu so. I advised him. He asked my view before the secession. That was before Aburi. I said, don't secede. That was all I could say. I felt that there were other ways in which the problem could be tackled.
Did the very sudden collapse of the Biafrans surprise you in any way?
Well, yes.
And isn't it rather remarkable?
Yes, it did, rather. It made me angry. I was disappointed with it. I thought it was it made nonsense of the whole of the Biafran struggle all along. I was so depressed by the fact that this whole business has ended in such a nonsensical manner. It made nonsense of the whole thing. And I wish that it hadn't started at all. Ojukwu has made it such a futile thing that the Igbos must be walking with their heads bowed down.
Last Sunday in Lagos was a day of thanksgiving for the victory over Biafra and of prayers for the future of one Nigeria. Perhaps it was not inappropriate that Nigeria, creation of the British Empire, should have sung the hymn that always rallied the empire in times of need and crisis.